Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. We are going to be diving into some really fascinating stuff today.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about this one. This is a really cool story.
Yeah, I know this one's going to be a good one.
Okay, so we are cracking open a text simply titled Pasted Text.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about this guy, Suirenshi, and the gift of fire.
The gift of fire.
In Chinese mythology.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
fire, you know, it's something that's so integral to our lives.
Yeah.
We just kind of take it for granted.
Totally.
You know, we flip a switch or strike a match or whatever, and there it is.
Right.
But in this myth, it talks about, you know,
Yeah.
not only the practical uses of fire, which are myriad, obviously, but how it really sparked community storytelling.
Right.
How we think.
It changed everything.
Yeah. Yeah. It changed
The whole game changed with fire.
So that's what we're going to dive into today.
Yeah. And what I think is so interesting about this particular text is that it really kind of throws us into this world that is just desperately without fire.
Right.
Like, you know, we think about, you know, not having our phones or not having the internet.
Right.
But like imagine a world with perpetual darkness.
Yeah.
Where you're eating all your food raw.
Right.
Where you're constantly under threat from predators. It really makes you realize how vulnerable early humans must felt.
I mean, it's just impossible to imagine what that must have been like. And so into this world comes Suirenshi.
Yeah.
And he's described as this really, you know, observant guy, very connected to nature.
Mm-hmm.
And in this text, he's, you know, walking through the forest one day and sees these two trees rubbing together.
Okay.
And the wind. And the, you know, the friction creates sparks.
Right.
And it ignites this pile of dry leaves.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, that must have been like a mind-blowing sight.
Absolutely.
I mean, to have never seen fire before.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden.
There it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
And what I think is so interesting about the text is it doesn't, you know, fire doesn't just become this thing where he's like, oh, I've got it.
Right.
You know, he has to experiment. He tries different materials, different techniques to try and recreate this amazing thing that he's seen.
So it's really highlighting like the problem-solving aspect of it.
Right.
And the persistence.
It's ingenuity and the persistence. It wasn't just luck. It was really, you know, this amazing feat.
Exactly.
Of problem solving.
And finally, after all of that effort, he gets those wooden sticks, rubbing them together.
And an ember is born.
Yes. I mean, think about the feeling, the awe, the power.
The power.
And then what happens? I mean, the text really lays it out. Warmth, light, cooked food.
Right.
They even talk about how much better the food tastes and the nutrition it provides.
Right.
This completely changed their existence.
Yeah. It's like flipping a switch on human evolution.
Totally.
But you mentioned earlier that fire's impact wasn't just practical stuff.
Right, because you've got this campfire.
Yeah.
And it becomes the heart of the community. People are gathering around, like sharing stories, passing on knowledge.
Right.
I mean, there's some anthropologists who even think that maybe the flickering light of the fire, the way it kind of like, you know, dances and plays tricks on your eyes.
Right.
That might have even had an impact on how the stories were told.
Oh, that's interesting.
Making them more complex, more evocative.
Right.
You know, really drawing listeners in.
It's like the first movie theater.
Exactly.
The campfire.
Yeah.
And with that comes a sense of security and control over their environment. I mean, wouldn't that have just spurred more innovation?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
More exploration.
It just gives you this boost of confidence.
Right.
You know you're not as afraid anymore. It's like, okay, we can do this.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's really when Suirenshi transcends from just being this guy who discovered fire, to this cultural hero. Like the text even gives us these terms like suihu for fire-making methods and wusui for the tools.
Wow.
Both taken directly from his name.
Wow.
So you can really see how deeply his discovery impacted their language and their understanding of the world.
Right. And he even has that title, Huzu, which means ancestor of fire.
Exactly. And he's considered one of the mythical three sovereigns.
Right.
These are the figures who are credited with laying the foundation of Chinese civilization.
Wow. That's incredible. It's interesting to think, though, about how other cultures, you know, viewed fire in their own mythology.
Right.
do they also see it as this, like, transformative force?
You know, it is really interesting because in a lot of cultures you see fire associated with knowledge purification, even like divine power.
Oh, wow.
So it really speaks to that universal impact it had on the human psyche.
Yeah, I mean, even today, right? Fire still holds such a symbolic meaning for us. It's more than just light and warmth. It's like this thing that brings people together. It inspires us.
Totally.
You know, it's at the heart of so many of our rituals.
Think about how just a simple candle can create a sense of peace.
Yeah.
Or a bonfire, you know, a sense of celebration.
Exactly.
Suirenshi's gift is still shaping our lives in ways that we might not even fully realize.
So as we close out this deep dive, I'd love to leave you with this question to ponder. What role does fire play in your life? Beyond, you know, the purely practical, you know, using it to cook or whatever.
Right.
Something worth thinking about. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.